All right, guys, I came onto stream, and of course, as I did it, people started sending me this. I mean, how can I not watch Destiny debating Alex Jones, the legend himself? Alex Jones, of course, Destiny, not a legend. Girl stripper name? Like, come on, you still change the name to something better, okay? Anyway, I'm curious about it. Looks like it's gonna be a fun one. Let's get it going.
We got a special guest joining us.
San Francisco, 40% of the kids are trans or whatever.
Whoa.
No, I don't think that's true.
I think it's something like that.
Well, 40% of Republican discourse might be about trans people, but I don't think 40% of kids are trans.
No, there are school districts where 40% of the kids say they are not.
There was a YouGov poll where Republicans think that 40% of the population is trans.
Is that what it is?
That's what
No.
we're thinking of right now.
No.
Are we moving to trans issues now? I thought we were talking about social media and how to like moderate social media. Now we're talking about algorithms.
What
I think
the
there's a lot of interesting.
corporations want-
I think this is important, okay? Because I notice that when these panels happen, you guys never actually say anything. We move from crazy topic to crazy topic to crazy topic. I think that they're saying.
I want people to be aware of.
No, not be aware. What do you want people to do about it? You've made them aware. Now, what are they supposed to do?
People.
This is the problem with your platform.
Let me talk. Destiny and I are dating. Here's the Destiny.
Lou, so what should be banned from social media?
I mean, probably some like really heinous acts, you know. But when you talk about banning stuff from social, I mean, like, I guess it depends. What do they mean by banning from social media? Because, you know, these companies are private themselves. But then on the same time, like, if I ask me, I mean, like, some of those cartel videos, bro, are wild, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Nothing. Let people choose what they want to see. I think we're all adults here. If something's bad, the audience and the market will speak for itself. Obviously, you know, there's the
Well, if the market speaks for itself, then doesn't that mean that, like, the Twitter will ban it? Isn't that, like, the market itself, right? Because, like, the market, it's like, oh, these particular views are not palatable enough, so we have to ban them. Which, you know, that's a slippery slope, could be.
the concept of hurting children, that obviously is an exception. Obviously, there are government institutions that run international child trafficking organizations. So obviously, are you going to entrust those organizations to go after that? That's another question and conundrum that I think a lot of people are asking themselves. But other than the exception of children being hurt, I think we are adults and we could actually decipher and decide what we want to listen to.
I agree. Ban Cocoa Melon, guys. Apparently that gives kids behavioral problems, and it's time to get rid of this preposterous, you know, nonsense garbage. That's all I'm saying. Protect the children. Ban Cocoa Melon.
And don't want to listen to. Treat us like human beings. We shouldn't be treated like babies.
That's a big box, though. Like, what can hurt children?
Yeah, I want to be treated like a baby. Change my diaper, mommy. Okay. All right, let's relax a little today. Let's try.
It's a big, you know,
the obvious one is, of course, you know, being sent to Jeffrey Epstein's island or being trafficked by, you know, many of the intelligence agencies and sent off to individuals like, you know, Bill Gates and others who, you know, get to do whatever they want with them.
Those things might not be true. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny it because those might be some conspiracies. Damn, what's up with Bill Gates? Why Bill Gates? Like, he doesn't seem like the nicest guy, but I don't know if he's doing all that.
I think that's the distinction there.
You would say that you should ban child porn?
Yes.
Of course.
What about, like, okay, well, what do you...
Let's get a round of applause for that. Banning child porn. Yeah, there we go.
I know that's a hard stance to take. Is that you don't want children to get child porn? It's a tough stance. Everybody online is very, very up in arms when you say that's bad. You know, I mean, in all honesty, like, it's fucking crazy. It is crazy. People will have, you know, I don't want to say virtue signal about it, but sometimes a little bit.
The next question, though, is who's going to do...
Like, in all honesty, not to bring it up, but I kind of feel like the massive, like, weird outrage about the Dalai Lama, like, with that kid, like, it was definitely inappropriate, but people were like, this guy's a predator. And it's like, it seems like a really old guy with really bizarre social customs, and he kissed some boy on the lips because I guess that's normal there, which I think is really weird as fuck. And then he made a joke about sucking on his tongue and then didn't let him do it, and like was like, just kidding, LOL. Is it uncomfortable? Sure. But it was like, this guy is a predator. It's like, relax. I don't think that that's true. I think that, like, that's a weird assignment of intentionality to assign to people, and it's stuff like that. And people are just like a little terminally online a little bit. We can call things out for being wrong without us like actually assigning negative intention to it. Like, I think that's what makes us human beings, understanding that actions have different intentions.
Banning
I think it should probably be human beings should be doing the banning and not an algorithm or a bot or something like that. I think these should be
But humans
human
are
beings
bots,
checking the
guys.
stuff out and taking a look for child porn, if that's what we're looking to ban.
I would not. I feel bad for people who get that job, though. People looking for that type of material. I would rather an algorithm do it. Because, like, I heard of this thing, and maybe it's not true, but, like, where there's, like, people in the FBI where it's their job to deal with this, to look up that type of content, to get rid of it or whatever, and to investigate it. And they end up, liking it, but not in a way where they like it. It's, like, one of those things where, like, it's unintentionally happens to them, where they get, like, almost addicted to it. It's, you know, and I feel like that's that's horrible. You know, you get so desensitized and stuff. Like, that sounds horrible, man.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, AI can help find it, but have a human layer of protection.
It always has to be a human layer of protection, especially when we're talking about something as sensitive as actual free speech.
Although the issue with putting a human in charge is that, firstly, definitions can change. So what's porn today might be normalized in 10 years. And secondly, they have the keys so that they can put their foot on the gas when they want to, take it off when they don't.
You're talking about standards, which we are lacking as a culture right now in a society, and we do need standards. That's something that I think is paramount.
Do you think that the community can function as a form of algorithm, like the human consciousness, so we don't have to rely on, like, algorithmic code? We can let the people somehow decide together?
I don't know what that looks like.
Well, that looks like people having a set of rules and then enforcing them, like every other institution that we have. That's how police officers do their job as well, right? And then we just, as a society, we have to be mature enough to have conversations constantly about what is and isn't correct. So we've been doing that the entire time. So.
Like a jury? I mean, we have a jury system at mine.
Like a jury?
I say we liberally, but because Bill's been running the company, not me. But yeah, there's a
Bill
jury.
Gates,
like if something gets up for banned, then and they want to appeal the act, it'll go to like a group of people to decide.
That's an interesting concept. What kind of jury? Like a grand jury that would be potentially impaneled?
It's a randomized set of active users who aren't connected to each other to try to decrease bias. But yeah, we try to keep ourselves in check with the community.
Okay.
I mean, I think the issue, I don't know if we're talking like in a dream world or as it exists right now. I think the problem is once a platform grows to a certain size, having a human element to moderation is just like prohibitively expensive. I think that's why Jesus, over a decade, when did Steam start automating their bans? I think having like human people in.
For the most part, I mean, your best bet's going to be to have like an automated ban system and then have people that'll be able to like look at it independently if the issue is brought up. YouTube does it, but the problem with YouTube is because I had this problem. They gave me some kind of weird ban. I don't know if it was automated or something on a video before it was even released. I contested it in the app, and they're like, "No, we don't care." And then I had to take it to Twitter, and that's when they reversed it. It's weird that they had like that's their primary focus seems to be how people feel about things on Twitter. It's very bizarre to me. TikTok's algorithm, like automatic banning, is terrible. It just seems to be based off of like a number of reports. And then even if they will reverse the decision after like a human review, they still maintain, if you get like a weak ban, they'll still maintain that ban, you know. But overall, like it makes sense to do some AI banning and stuff. And then having like a human reviewer if it's ever called to be, you know, human reviewed by somebody.
Involved in every single moderation action just becomes prohibitively expensive for any sufficiently large tech company, I think.
But we need the protection of human interpretation in order to secure free speech. I mean, without free speech, we really have nothing at all. It's like pretty much the only thing that matters.
As long as I have World of Warcraft.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that matter besides free speech. But I guess the question becomes like, is it a company's job to safeguard what I guess we're using in common parlance free speech, because we're not really talking about the First Amendment right now. Should it even be a company's, I guess, prerogative to guard free speech, right?
I was talking pretty much about the First Amendment.
Well, the First Amendment says nothing
paramount.
for being banned on like Twitter or YouTube, right?
Well, because of like the whole private company thing.
Well, because it's not the government thing, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to be the government to censor.
Well, no, but you're violating their free speech by demanding that they're not allowed to censor, right? That's the whole point of having freedom of speech, is that the government shall make no law abridging somebody's freedom of speech. If Twitter doesn't want to host your speech, Twitter has the right to do that.
Censorship goes far beyond like just...
Why does that sound like Brittany Simon?
I mean...
These are not people.
Companies, look, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's just the government. I mean, censorship can happen at a non-governmental level.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be the First Amendment, because the First Amendment is about the government. If we want to talk about other types of censorship, we can, but the government is governed by the First Amendment, right?
Well, the term government really means mind control. You know, mente is Latin, I think, for mind, and govern is Latin for control.
Whoa.
So, like, look at what the system of
People are cheering for that. Holy moly. That's incredible. What an audience. I love these people. This is crazy.
control is. And at this state, it's an algorithmic code or multitude of codes that are governing the way we behave. So you could make an argument that we would amend the Constitution to include other forms of government than the political
well, when
system.
Clarence Thomas has a brief that he writes to the Supreme Court about whether or not the government is mind control, I'll take a look at that, I guess.
You tell him, Ian. But I think we're learning right now with Twitter specifically that free speech is popular. And when we look at the censorship of speech, it is the government's hand in these companies, and they know that it's not profitable for them to destroy someone's speech. And this is what they've been doing. They've been going to YouTube. They've been going to Facebook. They've been going to Alphabet and all these companies and saying, you know what, we're going to make sure that you guys are going to lose business, and we're going to silence people because we don't like them. And I think right now Twitter is certainly challenging that notion that speech needs to be protected, needs to be censored, because I think they're doing better than ever. I think the platform is thriving. I enjoy the platform personally myself, speaking from a biased perspective, but I think they're really showing and leading the way, saying free speech is the answer, and it could also be profitable, and it could also be successful at the same time, allowing a perfect harmony of profit and respect of individuals to speak their mind.
I think something that I spoke about earlier, real quick, was when we have these conversations, I think it's very important that we're firmly rooted in reality. And conservatives have this mantra that they, I guess, repeat to themselves at midnight in the mirror with all the lights turned off, that go woke, go broke, go woke, go broke, go woke. It's not true.
It is true.
It's absolutely not true.
It is
These
true.
companies online that are
Vanguard just pulled back.
If go woke, go broke was true, then you wouldn't see as much like woke virtue signaling. I mean, you kind of have to think of it like that.
Back and said, after a decade of pursuing ESG as the third most powerful investment firm in the world, we are leaving ESG.
We're not
is
ESG.
woke.
We're not talking
Yeah,
about
it
ESG.
is.
Please, God,
This is what
let's not do
woke
finance
is.
occurring, okay?
Environmental
We're not talking about
social
ESG.
governance.
The reality
What do you
is
think
that
social is?
The reality is that online, having aggressive moderation platforms that are trying to ban speech that a lot of you guys want to protect, that I want to protect, that I think is cool to protect, is actually a pretty profitable decision. If it wasn't, they wouldn't do it.
What about in
Can I ask you a question?
publishing?
True.
What about in publishing, not in social media? What about censorship in publishing?
I don't know as much about books.
If a
and
private
publishing,
company is acting on behalf of the government in censoring speech, is that a violation of the First Amendment?
if the government,
Well, what is he referring to? Because it sounds like they're referring to like when they when social media companies were pressured by the government because like Russia was running like bot farms to push some disinformation onto people through Instagram and Facebook, and like trying to have an impact on the election for for whatever their motivation was. So like that's a different. I don't think that's a matter of freedom of speech. I think that's a matter of trying to make sure that we don't have people use like online intellectual warfare and propaganda machines to be able to like invade our social media. So I mean, I think there's a difference. Like the government's not telling anybody to stop bullying Dylan Mulvaney on the internet. Dylan Mulvaney is like the most bullied person online, but they're like, hey, don't let Russia create fucking bot farms that have like a ton of like impact on us. What's up, Linda? How you doing?
was telling people to censor people. I guess
That is what happened on Twitter over the last 2 years.
We saw that. Sure. So we saw that with the Twitter files, that is absolutely not the case. If you actually read any of them, past the actual tweets, the government was not making explicit requests to censor political speech on Twitter. That did not happen.
Patently false. It's patently false. It's patently false. Is it okay for the government to ask a company to censor?
Well, it depends on what the censorship request is for.
No, that is a yes or no question. Is it okay for the government to ask the company to censor?
Yeah, I don't think it's yes or no. I think like it's kind of silly to do yes or no questions all the time and not like and be intelligent about it. Like if it comes to intelligence issues, when it comes to like misinformation being run by another country, like yeah, I think it's okay. If it comes to something else, and like no, they shouldn't be asking that. But like if Russia's trying to destroy our, like have an impact on like the way that we feel or think by running misinformation campaigns, or China's doing that, then I think that the government should be like, hey, they could have the ability to be like, hey, can you guys not run that story? Now, obviously that could be a slippery slope. If that's your argument, that's fair. But like, sure, why not?
It depends on what you're trying to censor. If it's somebody making a death threat, yeah, that's probably okay.
Yeah,
if it's pictures of Hunter Biden's cock, which I know you guys are all real excited about, it's probably okay. Yeah, it depends on what the censorship request is. Yeah.
So, okay.
I guess that's non-consensual. Like, what do they call that? What is like the revenge porn would be technically? What does that would be if that's what's in there? Sorry. All I know is that if my cock was leaked, I'd want the government to get involved. All right. I want Nancy Pelosi to see my cock so that she'll hit me up one day and go, "Not bad." I'll say, "Oh, you're damn right, bitch." You know, that'd be kind of hot. No? Nobody else has those dreams? Maybe AOC, all jokes aside. You know, I don't particularly care for her politics, but do any of you really disagree with me? Let's be real here, okay? Let's just be real here. I'm being real. I'm a real man.
Keep going with that. So when a journalistic output is withheld from disclosing a story that could be detrimental to a presidential candidate, and they did not carry that same treatment to the other side, and it was not just Hunter Biden's cock, it was the fact that there was a potential that there was illegal drugs, there was underage prostitutes, there was a whole...
Was there underage prostitutes? I mean, not for nothing. I don't really care about Hunter Biden's cock or him doing illegal drugs. I mean, I have family that does illegal drugs, and I'm not really super concerned that, like, Joe Biden has a potentially kind of a scummy son. I'm not really that. It's not the underage thing. That's crazy if that's true. I've never heard that before. This is the first time I'm hearing. I'm not going to say that I was super educated on the situation, but I also feel like this is a very new thing that where we're just kind of adding in there. But I guess I could be wrong.
Slew.
There was influence peddling.
It's his son. Who gives a shit about his son who's involved in his business dealings, who gets $50,000 a month working for Burisma in a country that we...
Yeah, isn't that normal, though, for, like, those rich fucking people to have, like, what is it called? They'll have, like people, like, advisors. They'll utilize that nepotism, be like, oh, you have Biden on your name. I'm going to hire you, blah, blah, blah. They don't have any insider secrets, but that's just kind of how shit works. I'm not super concerned with that. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't sound concerning on surface level. It doesn't sound very concerning at all. So who gives a shit?
We have a proxy state set up in. How is that not involved with Biden? Are you kidding me?
And there are major polls and studies.
So the reality is, and I highly encourage you guys to read the Twitter files because I don't think anybody up here actually has. If you actually read the emails where they discuss banning content, it wasn't the government told us to censor this story. The government never made a request to Twitter to censor the Hunter Biden story. That was testified to under oath multiple times by multiple people at Twitter. It is not the case that that story was censored because of the government. It was a complicated internal conversation that Twitter had amongst themselves. You can read the conversations.
So basically what you're saying is that Twitter self-censored.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
A climate of self-censorship does come from a government level.
No.
Yes, it comes.
I mean, it could, but it doesn't mean that it does come from a government level. What? You can't say it always does. That's silly goosery.
No, from government intimidation. Yes, it does.
If it came from government intimidation, why did Twitter only adhere to like 37% of the requests the government actually made?
Just because they didn't go along with 100%, according to your data
come on.
here.
No, so the government can only intimidate you 37% of the time?
I think it's a valid question.
No, it's not a valid question. That was ridiculous.
No,
if an
it's not
FBI
at all.
agent is outside
my house, I think that we see that there was government intimidation at Twitter, and I think that you can see that in the Twitter files.
No, you can't.
I think that you saw that with regard to. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, well, I read them. Okay, and I'm telling you that they did not intimidate them. I have had conversations with the FBI. If the FBI was outside my house, they're going to intimidate me more than 37% of the time.
Can I ask you a question? Were there any emails in the Twitter files between a government actor, bureaucracy or elected official, and Twitter's executive team?
Yes.
Is that not highly problematic when the requests coming from government involved political candidates? Yes or no?
It depends on the request. If it's just
how?
Do you think it is essential that uncensored pictures of Hunter Biden's dick remain on Twitter?
When he's the son, yes.
Okay.
When he is the son,
that's where the conversation is right now.
It's the New York Post. It's not like it's the.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I want to see his dick too, right? Like, I get where these guys are coming from. They just want to see a nice slab of meat, you know? That's not gay. That's just curiosity.
Or an outlet.
They call that curious, Biden curious. You know what I mean? Because I'm curious to see one of those Biden cocks. Not too bad, brother. Not too bad.
Posting these pictures. The second oldest journalistic output in the United States broke a story. Government emailed Twitter's executive team what happened 2 weeks out from the election. Then they delete the story of the New York Post. So how is that not a company acting on behalf of the government
really big?
to violate
God
the
bless.
First Amendment of a journalist? How is that not the case?
Because Twitter never said that they deleted that post because of the government.
And you believe them?
I just want to clarify. Hold on.
You're reporting from the Twitter files. What are you citing?
Let's stop screaming. Let's try to understand each other and
You know, even I remember watching Ben Shapiro talk to Ben Shapiro talked to Lex Friedman. It was a really good episode of his podcast. And Lex talked about this for a bit. He's like, well, don't you think it's kind of, like, he basically talked about it. Like, don't you think it's kind of crazy? And Ben was like, yeah, it seems a little overblown. Most of it just boils down to, like, he got that $50,000 for being, like, what a consultant or whatever, which is pretty par of the course, blah, 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 blah. So if you got Ben Shapiro saying that it's a nothing burger, don't you think that maybe it's a nothing burger?
because we're getting a little bit crazy. We're getting a little
real quick, just so we're on the same page.
Let's get a little civil.
How many people up here actually read the actual tweets, not just the headline?
Thank you, Matt Taibbi.
Okay, so we've got two people.
Okay, but we got a special guest joining us.
Wow, the big man himself. It's Alex Jones. Wow.
But I just want to ask you the question.
Stephen requested
They told
that we
me-
had Alex on tonight, so I thought.
They told me to get here at 8 o'clock. I didn't even go on stage today. So I'm only 30 seconds late. Sorry.
Alex, do you think that what was the exact question? Do you think that there's things that should be censored online, Alex? I guess, how do you want to ask it, Stephen? How would you ask Alex this, where we're at right now?
I'm not even sure what I would ask Alex right now.
I would just go back to 5 years ago where violent threats, specifically calling for violence, which is illegal already, and child porn and stuff like that, and people's hacked personal information. Those things are illegal. Things that are illegal are illegal, not our free speech.
But I wouldn't ban language that calls to violence onto people, like for Sandy Hook, because unless I explicitly say it, just suggesting that we cause violence onto the people, the families of the victims of Sandy Hook, doesn't mean that I'm explicitly calling for it. Okay, listen, guys. All right, I'm Alex Jones, and I should be able to suggest violence onto Sandy Hook victims. Okay, but as long as I don't explicitly say it, bro, because that's what Alex Jones did. I mean, dude, the guy really is a fucking big pile of scumbag shit. It's crazy.
It's really simple.
Do you think that there are things where it's like it's legal but unethical that should be pulled down?
No, I mean, I think it should be the Wild Wild West. That's what America and freedom is. And once you open the
that wasn't a bad movie with Will Smith. People give it a bad rap, but it's not too bad. It isn't.
Pandora's box, everybody is going to say this is evil. Another group's going to say that's evil. Conservatives are going to say ban this. Liberals are going to say ban that. This group's going to say ban this. And then it's special interest banning what they don't like. No, that's not what I want. I'm a big enough adult that I want to see everything. People say, well, then don't let the kids see it. Ban TikTok. No, don't let your kids on TikTok be their parent.
Ooh, got him. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm curious. What is your enforcement mechanism? You want to go to Twitter and you want to say you're not allowed to deplatform certain speech or ban certain actors. What do you want to do to keep them from doing that? Do you want to make it illegal for you to ban people that you disagree with, that do hate speech? Like, what does the enforcement mechanism look like there?
Well, hate speech is really just a modern corporate name. I mean, when U.S. senators call for nuclear war with Russia, to me, that's hate speech. But they still have a right to say that and be crazy people.
I think that they're kind of talking about like bigoted speech. Like, I think that's what they mean by hate speech, right? Like, I think a platform should be able to monitor the racisms and the transphobias and stuff. Say, hey, relax a little bit. And frankly, like, not for nothing, but they're not really doing it. Like, conservatives go crazy, constantly calling trans women and men, blah blah blah. And I'm not saying that they should moderate it or anything, but people we like to pretend that like everything is overly speech. Like, no, it's not. People every day, there's another video from another conservative content creator about Dylan Mulvaney. They're actually a man, and blah 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 blah. And it doesn't get censored. So like, what are you complaining about? The censorship doesn't really exist in this to the degree that you're saying it. It does exist, but not to the same degree that you're pretending that it exists. So.
calling for World War III. So one person's hate speech is somebody else's love speech. So as long as somebody isn't saying, go shoot this up or go attack this group, let the KKK, who are a bunch of idiots, or let the new Black Panther Party, they're basically a black KKK group, let them sound like idiots off of their own little echo chamber. We know what they're saying. We know what they're doing. We're watching them in case they're about to get violent. Everybody knows in all the studies, you suppress speech, it puts stuff underground. You want it, the old American idea that was really the vanguard, that was the Renaissance. We call it old now, but really it's the new thinking that we forgot about and went back to the old thinking of tyranny, is to let everything out there and believe in the public to choose what makes sense. And in that world, whether it's the new Black Panther Party or the KKK, we're going to reject those idiots and we're going to embrace a civilization.
And you radicalize, you do radicalize more people by censoring speech, and you put them off into farther corners of the internet where they become more radicalized, and that's why a more honest...
I wonder if that's true. Like, truly, I wonder if it's true. Like, do they mean that they radicalize some people more because they ban the ideas and they think it's a conspiracy? Or are they saying that you radicalize more people? Because I imagine you, by censoring, and I'm not saying you should censor speech, yeah, but by censoring speech, I doubt that you radicalize more people, but you probably radicalize some people more, right? Like, you radicalize like individuals more, but not more people individually. Does that make sense? Because you like reduce its reach. So I think that's kind of like the fundamental grasp there. But I'm fine with banning the KKK and sure even like the Black Panther Party or whatever the fuck from shit, because we really just don't need to hear it, like the racism. So
transparent conversation and dialogue where we're able to have actual clarity on the issues and actually fix the wrongs and actually discuss the problems actually helps fix the larger issues that we're dealing with, rather
again,
than
what
censoring
is the enforcement
them.
mechanism? How do you keep Twitter from banning people that you don't want banned? What do you think should be done?
I think Minds is doing a great job. I think the way that Minds conducts itself,
are we
I think the
talking
way
about
that,
what to do about other
I
social
think the way
media?
that they decide these decisions is
You're
a great
asking,
way
how
to
do we
address
do
it.
that? I mean, I think as a population, we have big corporations, we have think tanks, we have so-called fact-checking groups pressuring Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Google and all its subsidiaries to censor. And I think as a population, we reject and we boycott and we stand against censors and we promote the platforms that are open and free. And then, again, just 5-10 years ago, if a conservative got censored, the left was against it. If the left got censored, the right was against it. We have to go back to being unified and saying our speech is king, our right to see and watch and listen to what we want is paramount, because you're not censoring Alex Jones, or you're not censoring Luke Radowski, or you're not censoring Jack Posobiec, or you're not censoring Tucker Carlson.
I don't know who those other people are, but like, well, I know Tucker Carlson, but Alex Jones absolutely needed to get censored. Like, like he was pushing conspiracy theories about the victims of Sandy Hook to the point where they got harassed with death threats. And some people had to like move. It was pretty fucked up. I mean, I think that's a whole different level of fucking psychopath shit.
Or Naomi Wolf or whoever it is, when you censor them, you're censoring our ability to hear what they're saying.
But you're also censoring anyone else who might speak up. So that's a big thing too. I mean, a liberal value, a very classical liberal value, was that even if you disagree with someone's speech, you'll defend their right to express themselves.
Sure.
And that's a value that we need as Americans, and that's a value that we need online.
Exactly. Remember when the liberals and the Jewish law firms used to support the KKK marching? I mean, those liberal law firms.
There was a murder she wrote about that.
Absolutely. I mean, they didn't support the idiot KKK, but they said, we got to let these morons march or we lose all our rights, which was true.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like we could take a firm stance against the KKK in the same way that like Germany takes a firm stance against fucking like Nazi shit. I understand like for instance, when there was like a lot of anti-Semitic hate speech going on, and like a lot of people were like, the Jews control this, blah 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 blah. They must be all the Jewish question bullshit. I think it was really great that like Jon Stewart was like, let people ask the question so we can answer it. I agree with that, right? But like KKK, like it's like an explicit history of the KKK like killing black people, hanging them for no reason. I feel like it's okay that we say no to the KKK. Those people are stupid, you know what I mean? But I understand where they're coming from. I do. I just think like I don't give a shit about the KKK at all.
You know,
and it's true now on Twitter.
It is.
I think sometimes there's a responsibility for the authority to crack down if like child porn goes up. Like the admin has to take that offline. That means some central authority needs to snag that.
Well, it's illegal.
Exactly. And spam.
I think that's what Destiny's getting at. What should we make illegal to stop this, right? So since child porn is illegal, they have to do this. So I guess that's pretty much just the bare bones of the question, huh?
Not illegal, but it's unethical. So some central authorities got to crack it. But it's
But
not
what's central authority when the FBI has been uploading a lot of the content as well, and they've
What
been
does that
running
mean?
international trafficking operations like with Epstein for over 30 plus years? How do you
a good-
trust those same people to actually monitor?
Yeah, Luke
this stuff?
Radowski's right. How do we have the FBI that protected Epstein now being the policeman of child porn? I mean, I really think it's all up to us.
I don't know, man. I don't know enough about what's going on with Epstein to really be able to be like, oh, this did or didn't happen. I didn't increase the speed of this video. Fuck. You know, did the FBI really do all that? I mean, maybe. I don't know, bro. That seems like a wild accusation to me. I guess I just don't know enough about Epstein. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it doesn't scale. That's what I was going to say. Is the central authority crackdown method doesn't scale to the masses like Twitter because it's too big for one guy to take control, whether that's the government or the head of state. So I think you need to decentralize the authority somehow as the system grows. And if that could be written into the system, the larger it gets, the wider the net of judges that can make the decision in aggregation.
Well, remember Elon Musk, like last week, that viral BBC clip?
Big
And he
bike,
goes, okay,
big
give me one
back
example
cock,
of what you're
dude.
saying. He goes, well, it's a little bit mean or it's a little bit sexist. And he said, well, how do you define what a little bit is? Soon everything is banned except what you want to be heard. I mean, it's impossible. And here's the thing. We all know this. You all know this. I remember Joe Rogan in like 2000 in Houston, and I'm watching him in a packed comedy club, and he said, mark my words, within 10 years, Hollywood and corporate media are going to be dead because on the internet, there's so many voices, so many choices, it can never compete with that level of Wild West freedom. And if you go back to 2010 and the numbers, that's really when corporate media died. That's really when Hollywood died. It's got endless funding and backers, but it's a zombie organization. It's already gone. So any attempt to bring in AI, any attempt to suppress us, any attempt to shut down their competition is like a ghost dance. They're fighting a war they've already lost. So let's understand that. No amount of AI, no amount of BS is going to stop us because AI is just plagiarism of everything we already made. So we program the AI ourselves. So when the viewers and listeners of this show realize you're not the tail, you're the dog, and when you produce culture and you speak up, that's your defense mechanism to make sure you program the system.
What the fuck?
Steven, do
I
you
don't know if that just went over my fucking head, bro. But I guess some of that makes sense. I guess we did program the AI. Holy fuck. I don't know if maybe I'm just like, I have mush brain, but that blew my mind. But I don't know if it was in a positive way, you know?
you think Alex should be let back on Twitter?
Fuck it.
I
Just
don't
for
want to be
the
let
meme.
back on Twitter. I like being the black sheep.
What was his specific ban for? Was it for the? Yeah, Tom.
You know, that's a very important point you brought up. I was not banned for the thing everybody hears about me for. I was banned for criticizing Oliver Darcy, the mini-me, Brian Stelter. And it was actually Tim Pool, who was on with Joe Rogan and the head of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, and I can pronounce
Vijay Gotti.
Yes. And they said he beat up a child on TV, and he was mean to a journalist, Oliver Darcy. And he called for using battle weapons against Antifa. None of that ever happened. They showed some random dude on ABC News when a kid's hitting him, and he in Missouri, and the guy looks a little like me, and another fat dude with a beard. He hits him, he falls down, and I'm like, that's not me. That was talking about deep fake. It wasn't even a fake video. It wasn't me.
Was that actually him? Because I just can't trust anything Alex Jones says. Because he's a fucking crazy motherfucker, dude. He's wild. Like, he was hyping up people for January 6th, and he's like, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. I remember watching him on like that Andrew Callahan movie on HBO. I miss Andrew Callahan, bro. His content was funny. I know that he did that bad thing, but I'm not even going to talk about it because it's too delicate to talk about. I talked about it in a video about Andrew Callahan, about like, you know, all that shit. But, you know, it's too loaded to do like a quick 2 seconds on, you know what I mean?
And then I saw Oliver Darcy. He was everywhere getting me banned. I was still on Twitter. And I said, how dare you get me banned everywhere, man? You're a jerk. The video's out there still. It's banned on Twitter. And then the other thing was, yeah, I'm Bill Hicks. No, it's because they got to ban Bill Hicks. But the third thing was, Antifa had gone to Tucker Carlson's house and broken the door down and was threatening his wife. And I said, I won't ever want to be violent and never physically start an altercation. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi says, the force is for defense, never attack. But I said, I've got an instant access safe in my bedroom with a battle rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun. And if Antifa attacks my house, is burning my house down and trying to shoot me, I'm going to go out and defend myself. So I said, never attack Antifa, but defend yourself. Well, they never showed the clip whenever, you know, all the shows put it on as a national news story. They just said Jones called for killing leftists with battle rifles. A $1 million challenge. Where did I say kill leftists with battle rifles? Never happened. Where did I beat up an 8-year-old in Missouri? Never happened. So that's all they've got. And then we've now learned, this is about me, but it's very interesting. Very interesting. They introduced in court with my $1.5 billion judgment against me, defaulted by the judge, and allowed to defend myself, already guilty. They entered in court 24 minutes of video most of it from 9 years ago, of stuff that was edited clips out of context of me just saying the internet says this, what's going on? That turns into I'm pissing on people's graves, I'm doing all these things I never did, and when they sued me and didn't get any evidence, they defaulted me and then said the new model. And they're now doing that with Fox News and the Dominion lawsuit. And if you don't like Fox News, the judge says you're not giving me the right evidence, I'm going to default you. So you don't get a trial, you're guilty now, a jury decides how guilty you are. That's the weaponization of the judiciary. So then when Hillary lost and Trump was about to win, they had a PR firm, they've now bragged about it, I didn't know this life of the cases. They hired a PR firm that does the UNPR. It's like the second biggest PR firm in the U.S. to run all these national stories everywhere about Jones is attacking people. He's peeing on graves. He's going after people. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's like Joe Rogan when they go, he said the N-word. He's like, stop saying it because they edited it all together. And I kind of did say some of that, but not most of this. And I didn't know what was going on.
What the fuck is happening
And then
right
they
now?
defaulted me. Then they did that. Then they wanted $2 trillion. Oh, you only get $1.5 billion. I don't have $5 million. So I learned how the whole thing was not about me. It was about demonize free speech, demonize the populace.
Bro, what the fuck is happening here? I feel like we're just like, this guy's just rambling. Like, what? It's so unintelligible. What the fuck is happening? This is like nothing I have to say. I usually can't stop talking. But this is just so wild. There's just like, it's just like a fucking treasure trove of information. I don't even know what to say. Oh, the fucking tank's gone. That makes sense. Fucking crazy. Holy shit.
And when people don't stand up for Alex Jones, then all the dominoes fall. So I don't feel sorry for myself. I feel like I'm caught
no,
up
I
in
love
a really
dominoes.
historical point. I don't have the incredible organization and focus and purity of Julian Assange, who I find no sin with, who I think did basically a perfect job. If he's free Julian Assange. He's a great guy. 8-9 years in solitary confinement, almost dead. So anytime I feel sorry for myself that made a lot of mistakes, would go crazy on air and get drunk on air and everything, take mushrooms on air, and I'm like, God, I didn't say some crazy stuff, was not done to be mean. I look back on all that, I just say, I'm lucky this machine only did this to me, didn't use CIA sex operatives, didn't set me up, and didn't literally put me in a solitary confinement cell for 9 years. So I'm not a victim. Julian Assange is, and he's who we should be getting out of jail. And that's one of
Julian
Trump's biggest
Assange,
faults,
baby.
is he told Julian Assange in 2016, he said, Julian, if you've got the evidence of Hillary, I want you to release it now. And then he releases it and they throw him under the prison. So at the end of the day, fuck Donald Trump for that. You know what I mean?
Oh.
What I understand about the Twitter ban
That was a lukewarm clap on that one, guys. But we were close on it. We were close.
of you, Alex, is that you got banned for one reason, which was what the stuff you were
you're
talking
white,
about.
dude.
And then now Elon just doesn't want to let you on because he thinks that you were mean about the kids with the Sandy Hook crowd.
No, I agree with you on that.
Mean about the kids, bro. Come on, you called like there's the result of what you were saying about like Sandy Hook like led to like death threats and like attacks on the parents that were already grieving their kids. So let's not downplay that.
I should not be let back on Twitter.
Really? You think?
No, I'm dead serious.
But I don't like that one guy can have arbitrary authority. Like, I just feel like I don't like the way he's...
Well, no. What you're saying is totally true, but let me explain the 3D chess. No, I'm being dead serious. Elon says, I will not arbitrarily ban people. I will follow the law and the rules. Then he says, Alex Jones attacks dead kids, and Jesus said, if you do that, you should tie a millstone around your neck and be thrown in the ocean. So he's being hypocritical on his statement of him not making personal decisions. What he said there was a lie. But let's explain. It's a battery. When they ran tens of thousands, and that's conservative, thousands of national newscasts about what they said I did to kids that I didn't do. People don't know who Anna Blands is. They think I killed him. Okay? I mean, literally, you think that name, I won't even say the name, they think me. So they've charged up this giant battery against free speech that's Alex Jones. He's freeing all the captives. He's doing great things at Twitter, changing the whole paradigm. I have to only salute him. If I was Elon Musk, I wouldn't go as far as to say I should be thrown in the ocean with a millstone around my neck, but that's a little too far. I shouldn't be killed. Please don't call people to kill me. But I understand that if he did that, they would have been able to shut down Twitter, overthrow what he did, and stop the revolution. So when they said, everybody kept going, free him, free him, free him, he goes, no, he's the sacrificial lamb. So it's almost like the Dark Knight. I get it because of all that demonization and that investment that I'm the devil. He goes, great, everybody else is free but him.
Oh,
we're going to crucify him. I compare myself to Christ. But I'm saying, I get it. And so Elon Musk, never unban me. I love being the black sheep, and I get it. Free everybody else and just say, hey, I freed all them, but I kept that son of a bitch locked up. If everybody else gets free, we're going to win. And I think if he'd have done that, they'd have taken over Twitter. So Elon Musk made the right move.
Destiny, wait. Hold on, Ian.
Wow. Crazy. I have nothing else to say.
So Destiny, reinstate Alex or no?
I want to see. I just want to see Destiny and Alex Jones go at it.
Should he unban Alex or no?
Yes.
Well, the reason why I asked was I don't know what he was originally banned for. That's what I'm curious. I don't know why Elon Musk hasn't unbanned you.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know now. We don't know. That guy who said now, we don't. We just heard a fucking rambling. It sounds like they kept him banned because he incited everything that would happen with Sandy Hook. So yeah, sure, keep him banned. Fuck him.
Well, I don't know. I have no
No, listen.
idea
He thinks
how
it was
much of that is true or
for.
not.
He thinks it was for that shooting in Connecticut. But I'm telling you, these guys are smart news guys. Tell them, look, it was for the things I said.
Here's my question, because I know we have a lot of Elon fans up here. Do you think that Elon Musk is running Twitter to try to make money, or do you think he has a principled adherence to freedom of speech?
I think Elon Musk is really smart. I'm really impressed. I get more impressed every day. He knows money is a symbol of energy, like gas in your gas tank. You don't worship the gas tank, but you worship the sunrises and the forest and the blue skies.
What
and the
the fuck
sunsets
are you talking
see when
about?
you're in your car or when you pick your kids up at school. So I worship that mobility, and so to him, he wants it to be successful,
Holy
so he
moly.
can do SpaceX and all the other amazing things he's doing. And so
SpaceX?
it's
What?
both. It's not exclusive to one. You want to be successful with money, so you have the freedom. But definitely, he's hitting on all cylinders now, where he said something everybody should agree with. Everybody knows that the majority of people have agreed now, and I think they're right, that circumcision is wrong. No, seriously, let me just say this. Your newborn son.
He's your wait, hold on. This is going to be the most based Alex Jones take, because frankly, there is kind of an issue with circumcision. I mean, you are non-consensually cutting the fucking foreskin off of your kid's penis with, like, for what? Because you think it's cleaner? I mean, this is 2023. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we should be able to teach kids how to clean the fucking shit off their foreskin. I mean, if you think about it, getting circumcisions is just female supremacy. It's just meant to make men last longer in bed because it reduces our male satisfaction. So that women will have more enjoyable sex. But that's not what sex is about. It's not about women enjoying it. Okay? It's not about that at all. It's just about making babies. We should only have sex with the intention of creating babies. And that's why you should find a woman that has PCOS, so that it's hard to have babies, so that you can keep fucking them and say, hey, I'm trying to have babies. Based or what?
Your newborn son does not have a say whether part of his pecker is going to be cut off, okay? Now, look, I'm circumcised, and I remember my son is 20 years old. And I remember the female doctor came to me and she said, do you really want to do this? And she said, we'll do it, but we don't agree with it. He should make the choice. And just out of tradition, I said, cut the end of his dick off. Now, that was wrong. That was wrong. But the point is, I'm being honest about what I did. In hindsight, callers called me over the years and said, this is wrong. Okay, we know in some of the crazier Islamic countries, they cut the clitoris off little girls. I think we agree that's wrong, right?
Well, I will say there's a bit of a difference in cutting off the clitoris versus like, snipping off the foreskin. It's a little bit different. But okay.
As a little girl, okay, but a 5-year-old or 10-year-old kid does not have the ability to make a decision where they want to be sterilized. It's the same thing. And so Elon Musk came out Friday and said, anybody that sterilizes or cuts the testicles or breast off a girl or boy before they're 17 goes to prison. When you're 17, 18, you want to have that, you want to be something else, it's just like a breast job. You want to be somebody else.
Oh, we just rambled onto trans issues. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ. Okay. Interesting. Dude, what? How the fuck did we get here? This is incredible. I'm almost impressed. I feel like it's like it's like we're on a long car ride, but it feels like so quick. It's just like a fucking, because so much. I don't know, because like so much just happens so quickly. Jesus Christ.
More power to you, okay? You want to have horns put on your head. But that's when Elon came out on that Friday, and I'm full Elon now, because that is the transhumanist system, is to get us to accept that against children. And once we accept that against children, look, circumcision was wrong, but let's cut their whole thing off. Come on, guys. That's what I'm trying to say here, is when Elon passed that third rail and did it, I'm fully behind what he's doing.
What do you think of the Missouri law, the new Missouri law that says even adults have to wait 18 months?
It's 3 years.
Is it 3 years?
3 years for medical intervention.
3 years for medical, that adults have to wait for medical intervention?
No, I don't think adults have to.
I mean, I just don't know. Like, I don't know is that necessary? Like, how long should they have to wait? That's really up to the medical professionals. I don't really know if the Missouri needed to implement a law for that. The question is did they do it because that's what the data showed, or did they do it because they just don't think that trans people should exist in general, and they're trying to restrict even trans adults? I get the kid argument. I totally understand it. But
I'm against that law.
You're against that law?
No, I mean, listen, I don't.
There's people who went through transition and then came out the other side who said, as adults, who said this would have really saved me and I would not be missing my dick right now.
No,
sure. And then, like, how many of those detransitioners are like exist? Versus people who didn't detransition. I think it's good to listen to detransitioners, but like, if only let's say, I don't know what the percentage would be, but like only 5% of adults actually regretted their transition. why would we need to implement like a law like this? You know.
I understand they got brainwashed and they got put into that, and so they want a waiting period. But it becomes the other danger if, as an adult, you're 18. People, your family should protect. I mean, I see both arguments.
What about like a waiting period for adult women who determine they don't want to have children and they want to have hysterectomies? Because it's very difficult for adult women to get a hysterectomy voluntarily.
No, I think a woman. Listen.
Well, if it's difficult, then what do we need to get that?
I don't like assisted suicide. I don't like suicide, but I agree with your right to kill yourself. I don't want the government.
The government's help. Because
what I'm saying is, I don't want the government.
What the hell's happening?
I don't want the government to push it. I don't want the government involved in it. But if you want to go back on your back of your house and blow your head off, that's your business. And it's the same thing.
What
it's the
the
same
fuck
thing.
is happening right now?
A woman, or maybe a woman has her whole family has breast cancer. She says, I don't want to die cancer. No, I think as adults, we should be able to do anything we want to ourselves as long as the state doesn't pay for it, meaning I pay for it. At the end of the day,
I mean, I think if you have a history of breast cancer and you want to get a breast removal or something, I think that I'm okay with the government paying for that. What the fuck is happening here? What?
I'm a libertarian when it comes to personal issues, but I think you really have to come of age. I think that's 17 or 18. You can't join the military. You can't buy guns. You can't buy liquor because everybody knows we do dumb shit when we're kids. We need people to protect us. Once you're an adult, good decisions, bad decisions, I think you should be able to make them.
I've got a theory about how to ethically deal with this Alex Jones ban on Twitter. So what would happen is
that's Tim Pool's person. This guy is from Tim Pool, right? Okay.
3D chess analogy. If Elon were to unban you, he would basically absorb all the hatred that people have on you right now into him. And that would be too much for him and it could destroy the platform. But if the community provided enough pressure and there were enough people that forced him to do it, and it gave him essentially no choice because there was such a loud noise, the hatred would absolve into the community and it would be diffused among many, many, many people to the point of confusion where it wouldn't really affect anything.
Wow.
Well, I'm kind of curious for you guys, because I asked earlier, do you think that Elon is principally concerned with freedom of speech or making money? And we kind of got an answer of both, but I think at some point you have to choose between one or the other. And recently you had Elon trying to shut down, or at least put a warning to, Substack links. I believe Taibbi and I think other journalists completely left Twitter, completely over it. Now they exclusively post on Substack.
What is a Substack link? Is that a link to like a Twitter competition? A new economic engine for culture. It looks like and I could be wrong, but it looks like a Twitter clone almost. I don't know why he would do that, but I guess I do kind of get it, so people don't get pushed or pulled over there. But
so how do you feel about Elon's decision to, I guess, try to inhibit people from visiting competitor websites?
Is that a question for me?
Or anybody, yeah.
Go ahead, I've been hogging the time here. I'll just say briefly, Substack was basically empowered by Twitter. I love Substack. And I think that what Elon is doing is not about a free speech issue, but that they are a Twitter competitor and that Twitter is basically hanging on this revolution. So I think by him blocking that, he's doing something to save the platform. That doesn't mean I agree with it. I don't think it's being done as an anti-free speech movement. It's being done kind of like Yahoo was.
Well, yeah, but it still would be considered some form of like anti-free speech, right? But I understand what Alex is saying, but like, sure, okay.
Blocking YouTube when it first launched, 16, 17, 18 years ago.
This is anti-freedom of speech to protect your pockets.
Well, but he also said that he wasn't actually blocking. If you looked at the links, there was a warning.
The same thing with the New York Post story for Hunter Biden initially too, though, right? There was a warning when you clicked off.
That was pulled.
No.
I'm not defending the warning labels on the Substack links, but I am saying that it was a warning label. And in terms of if Musk is defending free speech on the platform or trying to make money, he won't be able to defend free speech if the platform doesn't make any money.
So now violations of freedom of speech are okay as long as it protects the pocket of the owner so that he can continue to run the
No.
That's a little bit what you're saying there.
I just clarified what the thing was that happened and then said that I think he's defending free speech and trying to make money so he can continue to
Sure. What if he says that?
Right. So what you're saying is that like as long as it's like for a good financial decision, you're allowed to infringe on someone's free speech. That's what you're basically saying.
I think we should.
But also, what Substack did was, weren't they like appropriating a bunch of the code and cloning?
They created a Twitter clone.
Yeah, they were cloning the community notes thing.
Hey, Dustin, is Elon in the room with us now? He's not. We're not here to make excuses for Elon. I think the Substack thing has two different sides to it.
Talk about the billionaire owner of one of the largest social media platforms.
We of course are. But you're directing questions like we're his spokespersons. We're not.
Well, you were all so eager to defend him a little bit ago, so I was just curious.
Listen, I agree with you. I have meant to address this because it just broke like 4 or 5 days ago. I'm trying to analyze it. I am not his apologist. In fact, the guys banned me and said that I need to be murdered. But I got it.
What the fuck? There's no way Elon Musk said that Alex Jones needs to be murdered. This is preposterous, right? Alex Jones is wild. Sounds like he just banned him because of the whole Sandy Hook shit. What the fuck?
It's PR because he's trying to counter what they were trying to use me against him. What I'm saying is that's a corporate decision and it is censorship against a competitor that's using their technology. I was simply saying I think that's wrong. There's a lot of great Substack people and he should stop it, and I believe he's created the Streisand effect. But the CIA and the Justice Department and these combines with the deep state working with all of big tech to censor everybody, that's the big threat, and Elon has broken away and is doing his own thing. So I don't agree with him, but he gets a little bit, not even of a grace period, but just a little bit of a time to see what he's going to do because he's broken with that. That's what I'm saying. But yes, I think he shouldn't have done that to Substack.
Super chatted $20.
Damn, brother.
Love you, big boy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the $20, my bro. I really do. I'm just sick, so if I don't sound enthusiastic, it's because of that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. What I just do. Fuck. No shit. Oh, I messed up. Sorry.
I think they jumped the gun. I think that it's an issue. They're threatened by Substack. And, quite frankly, I hope Substack becomes bigger than Twitter. I hope there's 10 Twitters. That's all I'm saying.
So what we learned when Twitter open sourced their algorithm from the Substack stuff was that it actually isn't the production live algorithm because there was no Substack reference in GitHub. So they have some sort of link blacklist somewhere, which we don't know about. And they did say that we haven't seen all of the algorithm yet. And what we also learned from the algorithm is that all links are punished on Twitter. And actually, Facebook does this too. They all do it. They basically
do that. It seems a little weird because I feel like Twitter is like an advertising platform almost. Like, you go on there to try to pull people to other stuff. So it seems a little, I mean, I guess I get it on the one hand, but on the other hand, like, it's not a bad, thing to do. That's what it seems like, pretty big, like a business decision type of a deal. But whatever.
demote links because it pushes people off to other websites, which is stupid. And he shouldn't be intimidated by that. I mean, we saw just a few weeks after the acquisition was over that Twitter rolled out a policy which they rescinded, which was to block Facebook and Instagram and even Nostr, which is the decentralized protocol that we're using.
Yeah, that's it. So they've all done this to each other before.
Yeah, YouTube does this routinely. Like, you can't when you outlink in the description on your YouTube channel, they demote your video in the algorithm. So why are we discussing?
Does it? I do that all the time. I feel like that's not happening to me. Like, you put your socials, like, oh, follow me on this. Is that a real thing, or is that people just complaining? I'm being serious. Like, is that real, or is that just people complaining? Because sometimes people will complain and be like, oh my God, my video's not doing better. It must be an algorithm thing. I wonder. Interesting. Okay.
Discussing and talking about Twitter when all these other social media platforms are also engaged in this as well. And I think if we're talking about Twitter, let's talk about YouTube doing it as well, because I think they deserve criticism as well.
It's not about not criticizing Elon. It's not about not criticizing Elon, but what Luke just said is true. We're all focused on Twitter because they release the files. The other big tech does it even worse and more sophisticated. Yeah. And I think that's what Luke's saying. But I think your question's reasonable.
Facebook ran psychological studies seeing how they can manipulate people's emotions through the algorithm, trying to make them outraged, trying to make them sad, trying to make them feel happy. They were.
I mean, is this real, or are they just? Or is this just like a conversation about like how people just get to that point? Because I know that's what ends up happening. You get more and more hyperbolic content fed to you because people respond not positively, but they respond positively from a business sense to outrage. But so was the study of them trying to do that, or was the study of them just trying to observe why that happens? Because like that's what they're talking about before. They're talking about AI and like, trusting AI to do particular things. And one of the problems can be like AI is just going to throw you what you want to see or what you will engage in the most. You don't even necessarily want to see it. And then the outcome is you see some like really hyperbolic, crazy shit that's not really good for you. Because I know that they've been trying to get some like very intense content off of the platform because people were going too far to the right or even too far to the left. So were they trying to get people to be emotionally provoked, or were they trying to reduce the emotional provocation or the the engagement response to it?
We're able to do psychological studies. The things that Facebook does, they know when you're about to take a shit. All right, these motherfuckers are up your fucking ass with.
Help dude, I just was like not talking that whole
Tony
time.
Reyes super chatted $20. Who's yo fav monkey?
I don't know, bro. I like the accountant monkey right here. Damn, I muted myself to blow my nose and I didn't unmute myself. But I was saying that like there's a level of truth to this, that like if you say something like McDonald's, all of a sudden you'll get a blast, like a fucking McDonald's ad on Instagram. At least that's how I perceive it. So it's weird. You talk about something and then you'll get an ad for it. So I guess part of this is true. I am
So much
I'm blowing my nose a
metadata
lot.
that we can't even imagine, we can't even fathom. And I think when we criticize big tech social media, yes, let's criticize Twitter. Twitter could do better. But I think there's a bigger elephant in the room, and that's all the collusion and all the actions that big tech has been acting on, particularly from one side of the aisle, and that side is the establishment.
It's the big globalist governmental combine
Globalists.
all of big tech, and then Twitter breaks away and we go, Elon, you're exposing the censorship, but then you're protecting your platform, which I'm not even agreeing with that. I'm just saying that's a different animal what he's doing.
Just to have like a basic tech conversation, are we like opposed to tailored algorithms? Is this a bad thing, do we think, or?
Absolutely not. Obviously, individuals get to choose. I think at the end of the day, individuals should be able to choose, but private companies get to choose whatever algorithms they want. But when they're politically motivated, when they create echo chambers, when they create conversations
When
that
they
are
block
dominated.
other
But how do you know they're politically motivated? What does political motivation mean, I guess?
I think it should all be open and free.
Yeah, when they radicalize individuals that only hear their voice and not opposing viewpoints, and there's no actual logical debate, and you only hear one side talking shit about the other side and becoming more emotional and more.
It's just like, it sounds like you're assigning an intentionality to these things when it like seems like the algorithm is putting people in a place where like they not necessarily want to be, but they engage the most in. And so like that's, you know, could be, I guess, the harm of some of these algorithms for sure. But like it seems like they're assigning an intentionality to it where I don't think it's fair to necessarily do that. I don't think Twitter cares, or Facebook or YouTube or any of these platforms care what direction that you go in. I think that they just care about money more than anything else. Oh, I forgot to get that. Fuck. Okay.
Enraged.
Sure, so
I think there deserves to be a discussion about our ability to what we're curated and what we want to see, because at the end of the day, what we subscribe is what we should see.
And by the way, what Luke just said is the answer to everything. Go back to YouTube and Google and all of it. It's a parent company 20 years ago. They on purpose put us in groups and then put the most radical in there to push those groups to divide us and make us a new country. And I was part of that. I didn't know I was being used, but they were pushing me because they could take out of context a few things they liked that were radical or crazy. And so, but I didn't do it on purpose. So exactly what Luke just said. You can't ban algorithms, you can't ban them, but we should be aware of it. But absolutely, they set up the algorithm that made the left wing so crazy, that made the right wing so crazy, that turned this country into what we are.
Well, also, it's the algorithm on TikTok and Tumblr and all of these other things that contribute to the social contagion of trans among kids and teens.
Oh, stop, dude. The only thing I get on my feed are ridiculous memes and OnlyFans girls. Maybe it's so hard to talk about this because like people use the word social contagion. I feel like it's almost intended to be derogatory. Like absolutely, kids will eat up trends sometimes, and some aspects like when I was like right now, trends are ADHD, autism, and trans. Those are some trends that people engage in. But that doesn't mean that there are no trans people that are young people are trans. It doesn't mean that they don't exist, right? Like any trans adult will tell you like, yeah, I knew I was trans when I was a kid. So like, yeah, there's definitely like an influence. I would argue it's not that big of a deal. Some of these kids are just, exploring their gender. Some of them, probably authentically trans or LGBTQ in some capacity. Some of them are just trenders, And I understand the conversation around misdiagnosing people for transition. I get that. We just have to be better at diagnosing people correctly and talk to more detransitioners so we can realize like how things potentially went wrong. Because I have a detransitioner friend who said that she was diagnosed too quickly. She kind of went in there with the idea that she had like gender dysphoria because she had like other things like depression and whatnot, and they were too affirming in that capacity. And I understand that. And then just so you know, gender affirming care doesn't mean be overly affirming. It's just care that helps affirm your gender. So like there's a conversation to obviously have to make sure you properly diagnose and help people with gender dysphoria. But you just obviously don't want to go too far.
And I think that's a problem.
Yeah, so, okay, so
San Francisco, 40% of the kids are trans or whatever?
No, I don't think that's true.
I think it's something like that.
Well, 40% of Republican discourse might be about trans people, but I don't think 40% of kids are trans.
No, there are school districts where 40% of the kids say they are not.
There was a YouGov poll where Republicans think that 40% of the population is trans. I think that's what we're thinking of right now.
No, there are some school. I'll look it up. There are some school districts where 40% of the kids, it's not trans. They think they're of the 100, 200, whatever it is things.
Well, I imagine he's talking about 40% of them identify as LGBTQ. I have to find this statistic because I wouldn't doubt it's Republicans think that. But like, what is the actual statistic? Because part of it's some people are going to feel more comfortable coming out. Part of it's like, I used to be like, oh, metal. This isn't real metal. Like, you know what I mean? Kids are weird fucking people. But I'm looking for this statistic where 40% of kids are trans in San Francisco. I can't find anything on that. Is this a real thing? Is this real? I'm trying to see. Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't find anything. I'm gonna keep looking.
I mean, there was also the story that spread like wildfire that kids were getting kitty litter boxes in their school that came from like a Joe Rogan episode that's completely fake as well.
That was a fake story. But why has there been a 4,000% increase in girls identifying as trans?
Yeah, there's no doubt this is, are you denying that?
Sorry.
4,000%.
Rogan episode that's completely fake as well.
Fake story.
Completely fake.
But why has there been a 4,000% increase in girls identifying as trans?
For the reasons I said before. It does seem like AFAB, right? Assigned female at birth, but people identify more. Honestly, I mean, I have a theory. I can't tell you that's a fact, but I feel like it has a lot to do with just the way that we talk about women and young women not wanting to identify with women. Unfortunately, we have a society that like sexualizes young girls and makes them afraid to interact around people. You know, when you have things like beauty pageants that are really normal, and we're educating young girls in a way that might even be making them afraid. You know, on like, oh, you're going to get molested, you're going to get raped, there's an obsession online with grooming, rape, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like maybe it's scaring some of these young girls into not wanting to be women almost. And it's like they reject their identity as a woman because it's not safe. I could be completely wrong. It's like partially a theory. But there is like an assignment or an association with being a woman and being like molested and being overly sexualized, and the part of it is true. And maybe we're just not providing the correct education about it, which is scaring the fuck out of some young, AFAB people. It might have a lot to do with like constant flashing of Western beauty standards on your social media. It might be like making women not want to be associated. You know what I mean? There's so much there. I don't know why, you know? But if they're just like, oh, I'm non-binary, I'm not a girl, like I don't think it really matters. It's not that really a big deal. I'm still trying to find this 40% thing. I can't find it. I'm trying to look for it. So.
Yeah, there's no doubt this is. Are you denying that if you turn mainstream television on, you're just hammered? Like everybody hates a Coca-Cola ad or a Chevy ad or whatever you're being hammered with. You look at any mainstream culture, it's trans. I mean, are we denying that?
I don't even know what we're talking about right now. Are we moving to trans issues now? I thought we were talking about social media and how to like moderate social media. Now we're talking about algorithms. I think this is important, okay? Because I noticed that when these panels
that could be too. Just a lot of young people trying to figure themselves out, and they hear that like the option of being non-binary exists, and they're like, oh, let me explore that. That could be it too. You have a really good point there. There's a lot there. I don't know. You know, I guess it's like how much does it matter necessarily? I guess is like the better question to ask.
Happen. You guys never actually say anything. We move from crazy topic to crazy topic to crazy topic. I think there's a really fascinating and interesting discussion that can happen about algorithms. So for instance, you guys earlier were being critical that algorithms radicalize people. Well, is it the job of a social media platform to put content in front of you that you might not want to watch? If somebody watches a video by the Young Turks, are you saying that the next video that should be recommended should be like a Tucker Carlson video? Like, you guys throw a lot of criticisms out about these companies.
No,
you throw a lot of criticisms out about these companies, but at the end of the day, you're not really like saying anything. And we just move from like sensationalist topic to sensationalist topic, and now we're talking about 40% of the population is trans.
But this is not that hard to understand, so don't make it sound like we're talking crazy here. This is pretty simple. If I, as the consumer, have an easier access to certain types of content because that content aligns with the political philosophies of the executive team of that platform, that's a problem. That is what I'm trying to say. So I do not have a fundamental issue with algorithms. For example, I think that as long as the consumer can choose to turn on or off those algorithms, that's okay. The problem is when I have recommended content based on political philosophy that I did not choose because the things that I agree with are being purposely suppressed. That's what I have a problem with.
I understand what you're saying, but the issue is that for a long
Is that happening that much in conservative content though? I mean far, it's to me, and maybe I'm wrong, it seems like most like far right content is the issue here. They'll censor that clearly, obviously more than far left content. You know, I think it's a good argument to make that far right content's worse than far left content, because far right content is insane, racist, fucking like calls to violence, whereas far left content's just obnoxious little kids crying. But like for the most part, like, you know, that's like the Ben Shapiro pipeline, the based pipeline guys, right? But where like people will start getting recommendations to different things. Like the more like, oh, you see maybe you see like a Sunny V2 video because like he's a fucking nutcase, and then all of a sudden you see a Ben Shapiro video, and then maybe you kind of like, oh, now you're on the Daily Wire, and then you kind of like go to that right sphere. I don't think that they're actively trying to give you more left-leaning content. Actively, I don't think that they care. I don't think that that's happening. They might censor obviously far right content more, but are they actively trying to push more like left-leaning content? Like, I don't think that you can make that argument, like, honestly. But
time, I don't even know if Twitter does it, they gave consumers an option. Do you want the tailored feed or do you want the chronological one? I believe when Elon bought Twitter, he brought back the chronological one. Nobody wants that. Consumers don't want the ability to look. That's great if there's a few people in the
How do you know that? What's the data proving that? What data is proving that? Because that was just rolled out, right? So how do we know that's true? Because I just want to ask you if you could clarify.
The first data check. Holy shit. Holy moly.
How do we know people don't want that? Because I personally use it. I like it, and I haven't seen any data released highlighting that argument.
I mean, the data is that every company is moving in this direction because
every company say one thing.
Level. Yes.
You can talk about algorithms all day, but then there was the pre-programmed lie with.
Damn, Alex Jones saved Destiny there, because that was a good question that guy asked. He was like, where's the data, the active data? It does seem like people probably want more of that, because fundamentally, like, if you're not, this is the problem. Everybody engaging in this argument is a psychopath. If I had my wife come in here right now and talk about a catered algorithm, she's like, oh, I love them, because you know what it does? For her, it puts her on water talk. That's a thing. Girls that tell you about how they make water in the morning, I swear to God. Or puppy videos. Or shit. Most people aren't getting Ben Shapiro content or fucking, right-wing or left-wing content. Most people are happy to get their fucking water talk videos, their puppy videos, their kitten videos, their videos on crocheting, whatever dumb bullshit, fucking woodworking videos. We're just psychopaths. And we get this in our feeds. Excuse me. And then we think that it matters more. That it's not a big issue for everybody. It's more, I don't know what the fuck water talk is. I saw a video making fun of water talk the other day. My wife's like, is that a video about water talk? I love water talk. I'm like, what the fuck?
Government corporate disinformation on every channel the last 3 years. What I don't want, algorithms are one thing, but I don't want a force-fed corporate big lie put in all the tops of the feeds. That's the algorithm I don't want. It's not even an algorithm. It's we're going to force this down your throat.
I'm going to answer your question.
True, lawn talk does go hard. It's fucking crazy. You ever see those videos like the guy's like, oh, can I do your lawn for free? I watched this one where the woman's lawn overgrew into the sidewalk so bad that there was no sidewalk. This guy power washed it out, cut it into like rectangles, dug it up, threw it, wherever. I was like, this is incredible. How impressive is that? It's crazy. Very interesting videos. Soothing.
Question, Stephen, I think it's a good one. I think that
Obama is singing One Piece. I saw a debate between Barack Obama and Donald Trump and Joe Biden about Mass Effect 3 ending. That's the kind of stuff that's in my algorithm, to be honest with you.
If they spin up a social network, have the right to show you whatever algorithm they want. If they want to show you dog dicks all day, even when you search for women, even when you search for cartoons, they show you dog dicks. It's their company; they can do whatever they want. But when a company gets to the size of adding in the commons, it takes on another meaning. And then the code, at that point, I think they can still show you whatever they want, but that code needs to be free so I can spin up my own version of the site. And if people hate their algorithm, they're going to start using my awesome technology that's now publicly available, and then it'll become
I agree. And by the way, I love how your code matches his hair.
Thank you so much. It'll become a marketplace of terms of service and a marketplace of algorithms instead of a marketplace of who owns the code.
The sketchy thing that platforms do, specifically big tech, is they change the defaults. So people are put into the algorithms when, and what that does, which hurts creators, is that it takes away people's organic reach. So when they make the algorithms default, that's when creator reach goes down drastically.
What does he make the organic algorithms default? What does he mean by that? Like, make me watch Sniper Wolf videos if I just made a new YouTube channel? Because it's fucking crazy how that's like the #1 recommended.
You spend 10 years on Facebook to get 100,000 followers, and then suddenly you're only getting 3% reach because they decided to change the default.
And then the corporate media has an unfair advantage in that situation, which is absolutely unfair to independent media creators, which needs to be called out. It's all because of their algorithm. And when it comes to the algorithm, if it was free-flowing, if people were allowed to see what they wanted to see.
Maybe people just don't want to engage in that content, and you just think that they do. Because, like, listen, I understand independent media, but, like, as shitty as, like, Fox News, CNN, all these other places are, they're still more credible than, like, legacy media organizations. Just letting you know, whether you want to believe that or not. It's just like the truth. And I wonder if people are just gravitating it because they feel like they could trust it more. Maybe there is an algorithm aspect to it. I don't really know. But it's something to keep in mind.
I can make that understanding that, hey, maybe we could have a radicalization discussion then. But when it's curated, when it's manipulated, when we know that they could even control our emotions to the point of fine-tuning this, they could also run many kind of different operations, many different psyops.
I'm not a tech guy. But that's why every few days I delete my history just so I get the new stuff. Like, I'm not a tech guy. Isn't that what you do?
I don't think that happens when you delete your history. I don't think it makes it so that you get new stuff. I think that it just deletes your history. All right, maybe you're looking at some wild ass porn. Milk.
You just delete the history, and then you get the new
It's a little
stuff.
bit more sophisticated than that, but
What about the guy?
Well, when I delete the history, I suddenly get new feeds. I
do that on YouPorn.
You guys give it up for our panel and our special surprise guest, Mr. Alex Jones. That's amazing. I have to jump in here because we have so many people
Thanks, Pop. I'm working. It's been interesting. Thank you, Angry Toast, for the 3 months sub.
excited to talk to you guys and ask questions. We have like at least 12 people, maybe a baker's dozen of people in line. So you guys be very concise, no life stories. Just get to your questions so we can try and get everybody and speak closer to the microphone than you think you have to.
Destiny did a good job of deflecting, though, and not having to talk about trans issues, because that's what he did. Let's be real here. It was well done. I will tell you that. I will tell you that.
You got it. Okay. So going back to the beginning of the conversation, since it's been proven that foreign nations like Russia use Twitter and other social media to push disinformation, use bots, stuff like that, is it?
Oh, sorry.
Is the U.S. government not allowed to even like request like, hey, we found these things that we think might be bots? Is that going too far, or should they just allow all of that to happen and potentially undermine democracy?
No, they should be able to censor it. Sure. Hey, Pop. Respect for owning your wrongs. Oh, thank you, Kat. How you doing? Thank you for the 3 months up.
There was a situation where a certain number, like a bunch of bots were identified by a third party, and it turned out that those
Matrix bots
were mostly just American citizens. So I think there's a concern.
No, that's not what it was. Because I remember watching this on NPR. What they found was that there was like a very sophisticated network of disinformation and misinformation getting pushed. Just, disinformation is intentional misinformation. That's the only difference between that. And what what Russia was doing was they were creating like these main accounts. Then they would create disinformation about a particular aspect. And then they would signal boost that. They would have that reposted by additional bot accounts that they made and signal boosted by that. And then they would do it again by a third layer or an additional layer of bots. And eventually it would get down to human beings who would start signal boosting it because they were dumb as shit and they believe what they saw on a fucking Instagram post. So like, let's be a little more intelligent about this, right? Like, oh, most of them were just no, that's not how this works. Maybe, but like you're making it out of context. So that you have your primary account that pushes out the disinformation. Then they will have a signal boosted by a bunch of like smaller bot accounts, right? Like over and over again that appear as people, right? And then that would be posted out again to like a bunch of different people, right? Or a new bot account would get posted out again. And then eventually it would get down to like a layer of actual people starting to go like, oh my God, did you know that Barack Obama is actually, fucking Italian? He's Al Capone's brother, That's how, that's how these things work. So stop being a silly goose. Stop being a suspicious character.
In that identification process, that it has to actually be accurate, and you can't just base it on somebody's biases.
But
I'd love to hear what other people think about that.
You're asking if it's ethical for the government to go in and ban what they consider bots on a social network? Is that the question?
No, they're asking specifically like misinformation and disinformation campaigns.
Specifically, like foreign interference.
Can the government make recommendations to social media platforms? So, for instance, in the Twitter files, the government made huge recommendations to Twitter where they said, we think that these accounts are foreign disinformation. I think because they said they followed like 2 or more Chinese diplomats, but they had no tweets. And then Twitter overviewed a lot of these accounts. They said, we don't agree, and they didn't ban them. That would be an example of like a request that the government might make, or making something aware of a tech company to a tech company.
Maybe I think the word foreign might be a little vague. It might
foreign as in not American, not of this country.
Yeah, because if I'm in Ohio but I'm chatting with someone in the UK, am I all of a sudden a foreign?
Okay, we already know that that's not what they mean. Holy fuck. Just playing a semantical game here.
Compliant, So I really, I don't know. I don't like the government. I don't like some central authority shutting down what they don't like and using man, this is a fucking challenging environment. I can't answer this on my own.
Do you know what's interesting is I had brought this to talk about because I wanted to bring Tolstoy to talk about censorship, and Tolstoy talks about how when he was writing this book, what is art? Because I'm a dork. Anyway, when he was writing this book, the publisher came to him and said, can we just change this a little bit? And can we just change that a little bit? And then it went to the government censorship office and all of this. And he says that eventually a book appeared under his name containing thoughts attributed to him, which are not mine. And I think that that's something that we have to be...
That's crazy. What the fuck? Is this real? This seems like a really kind of just like a little kooky, but maybe.
Concerned about when we have an environment of censorship and when we have a culture that encourages self-censorship, because as soon as you have any kind of censorship higher up, it trickles down and people start censoring themselves, and self-censorship is censorship, and we should look out for that and not let it happen.
Agreed.
We're going to jump in for the next question.
Keep going.
I have a quote-unquote conservative family member in the federal judiciary to whom I have posed the argument of publisher versus platform. They have argued that forcing the speech on these corporations is the limitation of the corporation's speech. How do we convince the neocon conservatives that the corporations are not working in the best interests of the population and the monopolies held by these corporations are infringing on the personal liberties, not allowing competition, especially when it is these people who are being tasked with protecting those liberties? Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's a great question. The neocons want total power. They follow Professor Strauss. So they basically love Hitler. So they know they're running over us. They're bad people. They want control. And so, yeah, we keep thinking like, oh, the system wants to work with us. You know, they want to be nice. They're trying to be liberal. No, the globalists are fascists that hide behind a liberal veil, folks. And they want total control.
Ooh,
free speech is the answer to them.
One way you can look at it is corporate free speech is not about who they let say what, because they can control that legally. It's about the code they use. Their speech is their code. For these networks, social networks that we're talking about, that's the way they're communicating with us. So that should be free. And if that's free, then I think the problem solves itself.
All right.
Go for it. Okay.
Exactly. Freedom is the answer. It will dispel, it will discredit. The billions of people online will see the lie. We will deal with it. We don't need some overlord doing it. That always goes wrong.
I'm going to try to touch on three things real quick. Sorry, I had a couple drinks.
You kind of need to get through this fucking crazy-ass conversation, bro.
The Hunter Biden laptop situation, I am far less concerned about the dick pics and more concerned about the 10% for the big guy. And then Tony Bobulinski coming out and saying that Joe Biden is the big guy. But more concerning for that is the fact that I don't think that same level of censorship would have been applied if it had been Donald Trump's kid doing the same things.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I mean, the problem is we don't have like a comparable situation, right? We don't have like apparently it doesn't. It seems like if Donald Trump's kids are drug addicts, they're much better at hiding it than Hunter Biden. So we'll never really be able to get that comparison there.
When it comes to algorithms, I'm very wary of algorithms, but I think the best way to go forward is sort of an informed consent model. Like if I'm going to be subject to an algorithm, I think I should at least know that I'm being fed a certain feed. You know, like whether I'm being
Well, you should know at this point.
shown more right-wing content because I'm watching right-wing stuff, or if I'm being shown more left-wing content. Either way, I think the company should be able to do what they want. I was wondering what you guys felt about that as far as trying to balance.
I'm sorry, I don't understand this question.
Like if I'm going to be subject to an algorithm, I think I should at least know that I'm being fed a certain feed. You know?
Right, but you do know that. We all know that. You're getting fed a feed of like content that you will engage in more greatly. It's pretty basic, based on like the numbers game. Like they want you to engage as long as possible. Doesn't mean you enjoy it, but it means that you want to engage in it. So,
you know, like whether I'm being shown more right-wing content because I'm
Alex and Demi the Froxy, thank you so much, Blaine, for the 4-month sub.
watching right-wing stuff, or if I'm being shown more left-wing content. Either way, I think the company should be able to do what they want. I was wondering what you guys felt about that as far as trying to balance.
Like you think they should be transparent in telling you what it is that the
Whoa,
algorithm
transparent?
is
No
it's
way.
feeding you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ian?
I think we all kind of know that already, so that's just like a kind of a moot point. But
Or Michael, go ahead.
I was thinking about TV commercials, and if they had to say every 3 hours we're going to show you a gummy bear commercial, they don't have to tell us that. They just feed us this subliminal thing at the impulses that they want. No one's ever raised a.
But we know that. But we see the government commercial, so we know it's the commercial, right? So just like we see the videos that it's pushing into the algorithm. I'm so confused with this question. It seems like not a real point. But okay.
There was a rule, though. There used to be this rule on network television that you had to give equal time to both political candidates.
The fairness doctrine.
Yeah, we used to have that.
Well, here's the deal.
Well, that makes sense on there. But I don't think that we're talking about political candidates. But that's fair for that. It's not a bad idea. It's probably a pretty good idea, and just in general for our elections and whatnot. But I think, unfortunately, we're not talking about elections. We're talking about online content. So it's an interesting concept. We should make it so that you have just as much interaction with puppy dog content than you do with political content. How's that? 1/3 puppy dogs, 1/3 Republicans, 1/3 Democrats. All in favor? Aye. Am I right, guys?
Deal, folks. We can sit here and debate all this, and I think it's kind of rearranging deck chairs in the Titanic. I already knew this because when Obama left office, he was just a puppet of the deep state.
Oh, shit.
They put $2 billion into the Countering Foreign Disinformation and Propaganda Act, and then suddenly, months later, they're having congressional hearings in the Defense Department in the House Armed Services Committee saying, Alex Jones is a Russian agent. We're battling him right now with the CIA. I'm like watching C-SPAN going, what?
What? Did anybody say Alex Jones was a Russian agent? Is this real? I feel like that might not be true. I feel like maybe we didn't think that. What do I know?
I know as a Russian agent, plus less the CIA's after me. So they've done all this, and now they've got all these dashboards and think tanks and fact checkers and groups that are attacking and censoring and doing this. That needs to stop. Brother. Then we can debate the algorithms and free speech all day long. We have like Darth Vader literally bombing the living snot out of us. And so we debate all the little nuts and bolts of it. The point is you shouldn't have corporations with big government and think tanks and universities censoring people and then calling it liberal. And again, I love real liberals that love freedom and happiness and all that. These are not liberals. These are the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us of. These are the most cold-blooded corporations in the world.
True, military-industrial complex. Fucking for real, though. For real. That's why we should stop increasing our military budget and maybe focus on, I don't know, education. It'd be kind of cool.
Wrap themselves in Black Lives Matter. It's all crap.
Yeah, fuck BLM. All he's got to say is BLM bad at one of these conservative things, and they're just going to start cheering, you know? Woo, fuck BLM, dude. It's crazy. It's that BLM completely fizzled out because, like, whoever was running that organization, what did they, like, take a bunch of money or something? You know, the concept was good, but there seemed to be some bad actors in it. Unfortunate.
Some knowledge of it. Well, I don't know about that, but I will say that to the gentleman's point who asked that question, it's why I like to harp on that New York Post story so much. I think it was you, right? Yeah, thank you for the question. And the comment on the New York Post story. It's a huge deal, and if you're just trying to write it off by saying it was just about Hunter Biden's dick pics, it's completely disingenuous. The reality is, if a government can get in bed with a corporate entity to purposely thwart the likelihood of their opposing candidate winning the election, that's a very serious problem. And so it's so much more about the business dealings. And then to elaborate on the point even further, like the big issue here too is that these corporate entities have become hijacked by lobbyists and by their dealings with a government that'll give special favors if they align with them politically. Like we got ours started with our company.
Give me some examples.
Yeah, I would be happy to. I'd be really happy to. I was about to. Thank you.
Did you watch the congressional hearings last month?
Yeah.
I want to know for Twitter. What were the special favors given to Twitter? For the Hunter Biden story. What are the special favors given to Twitter?
What do you mean special favors?
They paid them like $6 million.
You just said that there are special favors given to corporations for interacting or cooperating.
Yeah, I was about to give you an example.
Okay, let's hear
During COVID, the businesses that were willing to puppet the messages of the regime were deemed essential, even though they had the same attributes and products and services offered as non-essential businesses because they might have disagreed with the regime's political views.
I don't know what that's referring to. They deemed some services essential because they puppeted what does that mean? Because like everybody in like what are we talking about? Like McDonald's? My understanding is essential businesses were just ones that like had to stay open, and you have to follow the law. So they were like, "Hey, follow the law and wear a mask." Like I don't know what he's referring to. I just need specifics.
That is a perfect example of what happens when the government.
What does that have to do with Twitter?
It's fucking vague as shit.
Advertising,
the question moved into corporate entities in general, getting involved in political.
It's because he's not really saying anything. He's like, let me re-listen to what he says.
Offered as non-esteemed essential during COVID, the businesses that were willing to puppet the messages of the regime.
What does that mean? The businesses that were willing to puppet the messages of the regime. So the businesses who followed the law is what he's actually saying. Even if you disagree with COVID, by the way, I lost family to COVID. I lost people at work to COVID. I got COVID. It was horrible. COVID's real. I'm sorry if I'm too biased for you. But like, what does it mean? I just wonder, what did these guys do during COVID? Because what I did, not to talk about it too much, is I was a bus washer. I was like a lead bus maintainer. It was my responsibility throughout the entirety of COVID to make sure that 200 plus buses got disinfected every single night so that people could get to their dialysis appointments and then they could just get around and make sure that they could do their shit, right? That was my job. I worked for like the public transportation system. And so like we had to follow COVID protocols, whether we liked it or not. Our boss came out and said, guys, you got to start doing this, this, and this. And we said, this is stupid. He said, yep, I agree, but this is the law. And we followed it. Like, who gives a shit? What does it mean when you say that they puppeted what? Like, you realize these are just laws. You have to wear masks. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to disinfect with this. You have to. What does puppeting mean? Like, what? Give me an example specifically of what it means. Are you saying, like, it just sounds like what you're saying is that these companies followed the law and then nobody was deemed essential unless they were considered essential. Like, I think fast food workers were considered essential because they had to stay at work so that you can get like your fucking Big Mac during COVID, right? I was considered an essential worker because I had to clean buses. Well, it's not like this super, like, there's no deep state conspiracy theory here.
were deemed essential, even though they had the same attributes and products and services offered as non-essential businesses.
What does that mean? Like, give me an example. You're just saying, like, really, you're being very vague.
They might have disagreed with the regime's political views.
And they got major corporate funding.
That is a perfect example of what happens when
What does that have to do with Twitter?
Advertising,
The question moved into corporate entities in general, getting involved in political.
But there was also, wasn't there in the Twitter files?
You're not arguing the point. You're just saying it's random shit when you can't defend it.
The reason why it's random shit is because all you guys are doing are bringing up random fucking conspiracies.
No, man.
Every
Bill
time
Gates
you
spent like $5 billion
rather than
during that.
staying on one topic and talking about one thing and focusing on an actual conversation, it's like, here's the deep state, here's essential businesses, and here's trans.
You said give us one example, and he just kicked your ass with examples.
And just transparently, none of what I just said was conspiratorial. It was all very out in the open. Do you all remember certain businesses being called essential and others being non-essential?
See, that's like, that doesn't mean anything. That just because there are some businesses that were called essential and some weren't, doesn't mean that there's like a magical deep state conspiracy theory. That just means that some were labeled. You're saying that there's some were labeled essential because what? They followed the protocol and some didn't follow the protocol? Well, follow the governmental protocols. I don't really understand what the point is. Give me a specific example.
With like churches.
Pfizer spent $10 million on advertising.
Others being non-essential.
That with like churches.
Oh yeah, churches aren't essential because you don't need to go to church to live. But like a supermarket is an essential business because you need food or you die. Like, this has nothing to do with anything. And I understand that sucks because like you have to figure out different ways to practice your faith. But what the fuck does a church have to do? Like, there's a difference between a church and a fucking grocery store. We understand this, no? Like, holy shit.
Pfizer spent $10 million on advertising. That's what paid for it.
All right, next question.
Do you remember how do you guys remember how casinos and liquor stores were essential and churches and schools were not?
What? Casinos were considered essential? If those were considered essential, new directive that non-essential businesses statewide, bars, restaurants, gyms, and movie theaters. Wait, where were casinos and liquor stores considered essential? Am I? Yeah, they're very essential to you. Yeah, for sure. What does that mean? Let's see. While federal, state, and local governments differ as to the definition of essential, a number of businesses are typically included in everybody's list. Essential services generally fall into one of the following: communications, information technology, financial services, healthcare, personal services, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Non-essential. Barbershops, salons, spas, tattoo parlors, bars, clubs, casinos, racetracks, gyms, fitness centers, eat-in restaurants, indoor shopping malls, libraries. Okay. It sounds like the different states are going to have different parameters. So maybe some liquor stores were allowed to stay open because as long as you didn't have to walk in or something. But I doubt that like overall that this was like, of course, schools, kids are discussing germ machines. Of course you can't have them go to school. But this doesn't speak like a governmental conspiracy to me. This is more of like, oh, you could just walk up to the liquor store and walk out, I guess. Liquor stores and dispensaries were open in Colorado. Okay. Yeah, I get why you would keep a liquor store open, not a school, because like you walk in and out with your liquor, and in a school you're there 8 hours a day, and kids will not leave masks on. They're dirty little fucking animals. Okay, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they're saying, for example, YouTube showing videos about the importance of vaccines. Well, I'm just letting you know you're wrong because they're literally crying about the difference between liquor stores and schools and churches. That's a different topic. Like YouTube, they were more aggressive against censorship against people who would push misinformation. That's a fair criticism about COVID. That's not what they're talking about. They're complaining about schools were closed, or churches were closed, but like a liquor store is open. Like, I don't care. This isn't like a deep-seated governmental conspiracy.
Remember that? But I don't trust anyone to do it. That includes Gab, Truth Social, whatever. If open protocols like for using social media, like Nostr or Blue Sky, succeed, how might this conversation look different? What are we going to be talking about in 5 years when none of these platforms can actually intermediate news and social media?
We're going to be talking about when code says disallow all dogs, but what the code is actually doing is transposing some other value for the word dog. And so when you read the code, you're going to see that you're going to think it's doing something about dogs that it's not. So you're going to need to know the language of the sub-language of the language.
Yeah, I think that you're exactly right, because the other thing too is when you censor people, right, and you say these kinds of ideas can't be talked about. What people are going to do is they're going to continue to talk about the ideas, but using different words and different language, and then you're going to have to censor that. Like I remember very distinctly when my son was in kindergarten, I think it was, and the teacher said that you're not allowed to call anybody stupid, and so all the kids were like, okay, we won't call anybody stupid, and they started calling each other silly instead, and then the teacher tried to make them not say the word silly, and they just kept coming up with other words so that they could call each other fucking stupid. You know,
that's what's great about humans is.
Well, I mean, okay. Man, it's probably better to call someone silly than stupid. Are you saying we should be able to call each other stupid? I don't understand the point of what you're trying to say here. It seems silly. It seems a little silly to me.
We're not going to be suppressed. Yeah.
All right, next. I guess this is my question. What do you consider the ethical obligations of private companies like Meta for free speech and facilitating public discourse? I mean, I know initially people were talking about, oh, easy, just ban child porn, no problem, that's all we need to do, and then Meta is terrible. But I guess I'm just kind of curious, like, what in your minds did you consider also like?
But that's not what I said. I said it was the great free internet we had 5-6 years ago. You ban hack material or people being doxxed. You ban child. Had calls for violence or like open scams or criminal activity. Anything illegal is banned.
Okay.
Also, you need to learn when to put down the sword. You fight as a corporation metaphorically to gain market traction, and then once you get it, you need to let it go. You need to set it down and let the market take it.
There was actually this really interesting thing that happened recently where so there was this Trans Day of Violence that was being advocated for on Twitter, and then anybody who reported on the fact that the Trans Day of Violence was being advocated for was banned. Do you remember that? And so, was it violence or vengeance? I think it was vengeance, not violence. Apologies.
No, it's vengeance, yeah.
But yeah, I remember Andy No got locked out of Twitter. Marjorie Taylor Greene got locked out of Twitter. ThePostMillennial.com. You should check us out. ThePostMillennial.com/subscribe. You should come check us out. Anyway.
Didn't that turn out to be like a big nothing, that nothing ever happened and it was just like a fucking troll or something? I don't even know. Like it wasn't, okay, maybe.
You're right. They didn't ban the people calling for violence.
They banned
people
the journalists reporting on it and the congresswoman reporting on it. What about that? That's a tough one, right? Because
what
you had what's her name, the new head of Twitter Trust and Safety, talking about how anyone who said Trans Day of Vengeance would be banned, even the reporting on it. And I thought that was disingenuous.
Well, I think real quick, I don't think that the issue wasn't that they were trying to ban the reporters. I think the issue was that it was exploding on Twitter, and they were just trying to get rid of like that type of speech on Twitter as quickly as they could.
Yeah,
so they ended up just banning everybody that was
like
reporting.
5,000 accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was an intentional, like, if you're talking about this, we're going to ban you. They were just trying to get it off the platform.
So, but that's a situation where it would have been like AI doing that. That wasn't people doing it.
Yes,
so in that case, it would have been better to have people monitoring that system.
Well, then it's a question of how many people do you want to hire. That's the issue, is that it's really expensive to hire a lot of people to do content moderation.
I know, but still.
Another shout out to the Minds jury system on this one, because I think that might be the future of moderation online.
All right, I'm getting prompted to jump in here, so I'm going to do it. My name is Dave. I'm a crypto anarchist. Destiny, you're not going to like the premise of this question, so you can sit it out. I'd love some substantive answers.
you're gonna sit it out. Interesting. That's gonna be funny.
Don't censor Destiny. Don't censor Destiny.
You can sit it out. Take a breath. Drink some water. So obviously, to the rest of us, government censorship is getting more and more severe. They're making laws like the new Restrict Act, or they're just coercing the hell out of these platforms, dragging all.
True. There's also trying to make laws against drag queens reading to kids, which is technically a restriction of freedom of speech. Sexualized drag shows, kids shouldn't be there. But what's wrong with drag people reading to kids? Like it's just being clear. Conservatives are also trying to restrict free speech that they see is wrong. It's happening across the board. I don't really give a shit if a fucking person in a costume reads to my kid. I don't really care. I wouldn't take it to them, but if my wife decides to, whatever, I'll just be like, okay, that's weird. So, something to keep in mind.
All the CEOs up to Capitol, like the new Restrict Act, or they're just coercing the hell out of these platforms, dragging all the CEOs up to Capitol Hill and grilling them until they agree, okay, we'll go along with the Atlanta Council, don't shut us down. So a lot of people think that this is just going to keep getting worse, and no matter who we left, right, or center, the agenda continues. It got worse under Obama, it got worse under Trump. It doesn't seem to matter who's in that seat. So as content creators and as people who have built free speech platforms, moderation algorithms and banning are one level, but infrastructure providers killing apps like Parler, whether you're on, AWS or whatever, your server, your .com gets seized or shut down. Blockchains were created specifically as a fuck you to all of that, as a response to authoritarian control. So we have Bitcoin for money. We have a lot of Web3 smart contracts that can create censorship-resistant platforms.
Is this guy just like plugging his crypto? What the fuck's happening here? Ask a question.
That can't be shut down, no matter what laws they create. So my question is, instead of just jumping from platform to platform as content creators, as the algorithms squeeze you out,
you know, why are we not just jumping right to Web3 blockchain tech? Not only the content and the social graph, but also the servers, the compute, the storage, the domains themselves. All of this tech is available now. Why are we not building aggressively for when we inevitably face the next wave of censorship? Thank you very much.
I mean, we're doing the best we can, but it's just it's still immature a little bit. It's getting there, and I think everyone on this
I think
panel.
you'd be surprised how mature it's.
Oh, trust me. I mean,
I know Nostr, you're killing it.
Yeah. No, yeah, we need to decomplexify it because people just aren't willing to be inconvenienced for freedom. So, you know, baking freedom into the apps is key, but, you know, people are going to stay where they are for now.
Well, and I think part of what we have to do a better job of, because I'm very passionate about this very topic, is messaging it more in a user-friendly manner. Because I think sometimes we get really passionate and excited about the future of Web3, but like you have to go where consumers are. And on our platform, the average consumer on the platform is a 37-year-old mom with kids who's incredibly busy. She makes a majority of daily purchases in the household. So if you can get her involved and get her buying into what you're trying to build, you're going to shift the entire economy toward freedom, which is amazing. But the problem is that cohort of people are so busy. That's my wife. She doesn't have time to dive deep into the mechanics of why this is so important. So we have to actually make it accessible and friendly from a messaging perspective. I think we're way far along and very mature, actually, in the functional ability for these platforms to thrive and provide a safe outlet. What we're not mature in is how we're messaging it. And so I think we need to do a much better job of that.
And we don't need the CIA with fact checkers running everything.
This is going to be our last
anti-CIA, baby.
For everyone, there will be a Q&A after the last panel.
I can't wait.
All right,
What's
first
the
of
last
all,
question?
Alex, Luke, please talk more about LeBone on your shows. He is the key. Alex, I'm impressed. You dog, awesome, really good. Specifically, I want to ask Destiny. You spoke earlier about your belief that you think that the left and the right have good faith in their ideas. I posit to you, ideas are themselves possessive. They are not acting on good faith. They are acting on the faith of the ideas, which take hold of you. You act in their service, not the other way around.
Okay.
And so my question to you is, why do you view everything through the lens of the group, only the group, and you approach absolutely everything from that point of view only?
What? Does Destiny do that? I mean, we're having really broad form conversations about ideas. What does it kind of make sense? Like, what is it? I just want to know what this guy, like, what does it mean to not do that then? Like, what is it that you expect Destiny to do? I'm a little confused.
Can you clarify what you mean, approach everything through the lens of the group? I don't know what you mean by that.
Group thing, you know.
Well, like if I'm speaking to an individual, I'll try to take the individual for where the individual's at. But if I'm talking about like conservatives or liberals or communists or fascists, I'm gonna have to talk about what the group thinks. It just depends on where the conversation is directed to.
Okay, but my point here is that in each and every one of those topics, those are ideas. Those are ideas
Okay.
that are themselves the issue, not the group. You try and focus on this narrow point, and you get lost in the minutia of all of these things. You sat there and argued about, well, is Twitter really censoring people, or are they a private corporation? That's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand is the idea itself. It's the ideas that need to be brought forth.
The problem is that the reason why it's important to get into the weeds and to have the very boring conversations to figure out what's actually happening is because ideally, if you're trying to make actionable citizens, if you're trying to get people that are listening to do something, and you're not just trying to sell fear or deep state or conspiracies or make money on getting people angry, you should be able to present a clear idea of like what has happened in a particular thing that people can prevent in the future. So, for instance, if we think that Twitter has engaged in an action that we disagree with, then the goal would be to try to pressure Twitter to change the policy. If we think that Twitter is controlled by the deep state, controlled by CIA and the government,
Well, this question was for Destiny, Alex. Chill out. He's just trying to make a point, bro. Chill. Say something after.
You're essentially telling your audiences no matter what you do, nothing you say makes a difference. You can't do anything to change anything that's going on. So the reason why I like to focus on
conspiracy. The conspiracy's been proven. Big tech, big banks trying to suppress the people and create a monopoly. You keep using words like conspiracy theorists. Hey, man, people know what's going on.
The only thing you're doing with that type of speech is removing your audience from the voter pool. So I mean, power to you if you want to talk that way. But at the end of the day,
they're working
people
congressional
don't feel
hearings
like they can do anything.
where big tech is suppressing election knowledge, medical knowledge. All this, it's a conspiracy theory.
So what do you want people to do about it?
He's like, you use words like conspiracy theory.
Alex, what do people do about it? What do you want people to do about it?
I want people to be aware of.
No, not be aware. What do you want people to do about it? You've made them aware. Now, what are they supposed to do?
People.
This is the problem with your platform.
Let me talk.
All you're
trying to.
I'm sorry. I thought you were doing like 15 years. I thought you
well,
had
hey, if my platform's so weak, why are they trying to ban it?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you want people to do?
What are you going to do, boy?
What do you want people to do, Alex?
I'm going to wreck the new world order.
The answer is vote. That's what Destiny's saying. It's like you're supposed to want them to vote for that change, so it stops happening. And then so that's why he keeps saying, like, what do you want them to do?
That's what I'm going to do. Okay. We need freedom of speech, open platforms without government and corporate.
Right, but how do you get that? You got to vote. You got to be part of the voting, the voter pool, and to vote, right? but it seems like some of Alex talks about is trying to overthrow the government and like start like a January 6th riot. So it kind of loses itself there.
Censorship, and it'll all sort itself out. That's what I'm saying. And it's not a conspiracy theory. The big, powerful corporations and governments get together to censor and control and protect themselves. And we fought hard to even get that basic truth out, and we are winning.
He's so impassioned. You got to give him a little bit of credit for that, I suppose. Jesus Christ.
The problem with people talking over each other is it's like painting two different colors of makeup on your face, that you love both of the colors very much, but when you put them on your face, they turn brown.
I guess. I mean, usually you would just separate them, but okay.
Not that brown's a bad makeup color.
What is that color blue jacket? Is that electric blue?
Electric blue suede, Alex. Nice
Okay, guys, we're going to do
All right, we're doing a little
That was like the worst metaphor I've ever heard in my life. But okay.
swap because we're pretty much talking about the same stuff for the rest of the show. So Carrie, we're going to do swap out a
Especially if you're trying to shade and you're mixing two colors together.
couple people.
Can we have a round of applause for these guys first?
Ooh.
By the way, Destiny and I are dating.
Wow.
Everybody should know that.
They're secret gay lovers. I saw him making out behind the stage. But seriously, Destiny,
he's mad because I heard him earlier.
In all seriousness,
okay.
In all seriousness, thank you for challenging us. Thank you for giving a contrarian point of view, and thank you for being here and engaging in a conversation. And I just want to say I appreciate it, and I want to thank you for doing so.
Okay.
Here's the Destiny.
So I think Alex.
Interesting conversation. That's all I'll say.